Which one is the best, fastest, most fun 1 to 50 Necromancer build to play with Season 1? And can they also reach level 100, clear Uber Lilith, do tier 100 dungeons? No worries. I get 7 different builds for you. Summons, no summons, with aspects, malignant heart choices, gameplay loop, gear stats, and especially 1 to 50 skill through. Now, which one is the fastest, most powerful though, that I'll personally play to actually level from 1 to 50? For me, that is the Sever Summoner. Why the Sever Summoner? There's a very nasty combination of aspect and malignant heart that is incoming, because we're getting the Decrepit Aura, which gives us Decrepify for free if we go into people. The good thing is, if we get Decrepify for free, okay, then we can start using Iron Maiden. Well, hold on, Pony. Iron Maiden is used. Why would I use Iron Maiden? Again, good question, because there is the aspect of the Damned. You deal 40 to 50% increased shadow damage to enemies afflicted by both Decrepify and Iron Maiden. And that is multiplicative on top of what we're actually dealing. So without this aspect at level 70, we're already doing 1.5 million crits after the nerfs. And now with a Decrepit Aura on top, and also tempting Fate Heart that gives us another 60% critical strike chance, and then on top of all this damage, another 50% multiplicative increase. Oh my beer, Chan. And the best part about the Sever Summoner is it's always strong. You begin with Reap, and then you actually go straight into Sever. And the best part about Sever is that you straight up get, with the Supernatural Sever, a 2% damage increase for every minion you have. That is from level 15 on, already with 7 minions, a 14% multiplicative damage increase that straight up goes with your Fueled by Death by another 9%, and then as soon as you have amplified damage, another 12. It just ramps up so damn quickly, as you then get the Gloom as well and the Terror for just even more multiplicative damage and escalating out of nowhere. And Sever is obviously an area effect, because that's a little bit of a problem with Blight or Bone Spear. Sure, Bone Spear goes through things, but you always have to kind of line them up to get stuff going, where Sever, for some reason, is a gigantic circle that does immediate impact damage, flying to it damage, and then kind of returning to you damage as well. Just like Blood Surge is able to completely obliterate a whole room. By the way, Blood Surge is extremely fast for leveling. There's no Paragon board added currently to the 1 to 50 builds, but it's going to be coming in the next couple of days, no worries. Now, how is the new Malignant Heart really going to work into your gameplay loop? Because it says when at least 5 enemies are near you, gain an aura that automatically curses surrounding enemies with Decrepify. And if we then want to have Decrepify and Iron Maiden for the 40% damage increase, how's that going to work? Well, let's assume my Decrepify here is Iron Maiden for a second. So you would Iron Maiden the opponents, go in with Blood Mist to stack up the Shadow Blight, then pull everything together and still do your millions of crits to destroy everyone. And the best part here right now, you would just straight up with the same rotation we've been doing before, already get the cooldown reduction and the bonus damage. Again, Iron Maiden, get the free Decrepify because of the amount of opponents, pull together, and then Sever if we actually need to Sever because everything dies. I mean, obviously if there was elites, they would still be alive. Let's see if we can find some elites. Okay, so Iron Maiden, now go around, get together, and donezo. And that whole damage, the whole gameplay loop that we essentially have been using, just like that, just with one heart, more damage out of nowhere. Beautiful. And yes, against the boss though now, the Decrepify wouldn't trigger because it at least needs 5 opponents. But what you would do is you can still Iron Maiden, this would be Iron Maiden, and then pull your Decrepify over your Reap to Decrepify. And Decrepify is always 10 seconds long, so for 10 seconds it's on. Pull the Reap back on top, or not even on top because you have enough essence. Go for your Blood Mist, standard, pull together, throw. And if the 10 seconds are up, you can just quickly open this, pull the Decrepify over, Decrepify quickly, get the Reap back up and do it. It's extremely simple and you can do it super quick in a boss fight and there shouldn't be a single problem. But also realistically against bosses, you don't actually need it because you just crit them out of existence. Uber Lilith is a whole different question there though. But first we need to get there. And that's 100 levels of not Uber Lilith. where it makes perfect sense to play like this. Now for a straight power level, which one is actually the strongest? And here we have Mr. Rob with his Bone Spear Necro. And yes, it's Uber Lilith after the nerfs. And you notice it's just still going for the millions and gazillions of crit. Yes, it's slightly nerfed. Yes, it's not doing 20 million crits constantly anymore. But from a just like, what's the most powerful thing you could do? What's the most heavy crits you could whip out? It seems to be Bone Spear, but I'm not entirely sure if we put the Malignant Hearts together with the shadow damage and everything. If not, the Sever could actually outscale this. That's my job to figure out. And if not, the Infinimist is also going to be the absolute crazy shiznit in the future. Talking about Infinimist, that is the Necromancer that essentially stays in Blood Mist the whole time while having a Bone Storm around it, reducing some damage taken with Reaps, Corpse Tendril, and Corpse Explosion. And that one gets so much stronger with a Season 1 because we can also use the Iron Maiden together with the Decrepit Aura because you're essentially constantly in people, and then the aspect of the Damned for 50 times multiplicative damage. But that's actually not all of it. No. We have another aspect. This is called the Great Feast. And it says each minion drains 2 essence per second, but deals 75% increased damage. With no minions, this bonus applies to you and drains 5 essence per second. The interesting part about this build, though, is Blood Mist doesn't use essence, Iron Maiden doesn't use essence, Bone Storm doesn't use, Corpse Tendril, Corpse Explosion, and Reap. None of these actually does use essence. So on top of the 50% multiplicative shadow damage that works on your Shadow Blight to make it go insane, there's another 75% damage increase, followed up by the Creeping Death, your damage over time effects, and that is your Corpse Explosion with the pools of Blight below everyone, are increased by 40% for each different crowd control effect on the target. Unstoppable monsters and staggered bosses instead take 130% increased damage from your damage over time effects. Oh, that means with the slow and stun that we can do, we get another 80% bonus damage on our opponents. And if we stagger some bosses with our abilities, because we can stun them very often with our shadow damage over and over and over again. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this does sound plenty interesting. And yes, from a leveling standpoint, it's also quite nice. In the beginning, you're going to start with Reap and actually go on Sever to just go for the beginning levels until you get Corpse Explosion. And then later around level 22, you're actually going to get rid of Sever and minions because you're going to begin with your minions until level 22. But from that point on, you don't need them anymore. You can actually throw them out of the window. And as soon as you get down here, Corpse Tendrils and Bone Storm, that's where the true power of the build unfolds. Plus, you're actually getting the bonus damage reduction and you're increasing your sacrificial bonuses that you would actually get even more shadow damage from your Skeletal Warriors throwing them out of the window, which is another multiplicative increase on everything we do already. I do believe Infinimist might now be one of the best tier 100 clearers, as it was already really good at clearing tier 100s, because realistically you just stayed in that Blood Mist forever and never left it, and now you can stay even more in that and do more damage and be even more nasty. Quite beautiful. I recommend. But it might be faster to level with Sever, Blood, or the Blight Summoner to then later, as you reach the higher levels, swap over to Infinimist, because it needs quite some parts to come together to then really obliterate in the end game. Link in the description below with all these 1 to 50 builds. Tell me which one you're going to play, summoners, no summoners, or if you have even a build that is not in here that you're interested in trying out, or thought about another Malignant Heart combo. And yes, as soon as I have the unique shield, there's also going to be coming the Infinite Bone Storm Mancer. That being said, here's a Sever breakdown, and here's also my whole Malignant Heart theory craft if you want to go a little bit deeper with me into the hearts.